Okay, so we are welcome to the class today, business environment class. And I hope we are getting ready for the exam. So uh, today we'll be discussing business functions. When we say business functions, what comes to our mind? That means there's a business that is in existence, and then they carry out some activities. So the function is talking about what exactly does business do? What exactly do they do? Businesses, what do they do? So this brings us to that point where we look at the capabilities of businesses to actually carry out activities. If a business is too small, the activity might be limited due to different factors. And if the business is big, definitely the activities will also be wide. They can cover different territories, different locations. So for a business to run very well and function effectively and efficiently, they must have functions. They must know what exactly are our activities. Why are we in business? So if they understand the reason why they are in business, which usually we've covered, that is for businesses to make profit. Now, before you make profit, you won't just stay, at the corner of your office and sit there and expect that customers will just come just like that. That's the old way of doing business. In this 21st century, as a business owner, there are some things you need to put in place. So you'll be looking at, okay, my customers, my employees, and then you look at the executives or the managers in the company before you finally consider the shareholders. Although the shareholders come first, but if those other ones are not fulfilled, the shareholders will not make any profit and they will not be able to get any dividend. So we have three levels of business functions, at least initially, for your business to what? To move forward. Number one, you need to market your business. So I know you've been running a business. You want to share with us what you've been doing. How have you been able to actually market your business? At least you tell your customers, this is what I'm doing. This is what So let me hear from you.
I market my business by having social media platforms and posting on my WhatsApp or my social media platform. And also we at our physical location we run jingles four
At the
times
physical
in a year.
or on the radio?
No, physical jingle. Like we bring out a sound system or
Oh, the people dance and all that. Okay.
we make jingles four
Mm-hmm.
times. Then we have what's it called? We have a business card that we that we also issue out to our customers and to prospective customers.
Okay.
So for now,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So at least you are doing something. Those are some of the functions you need to carry out for you to actually attract your customers. I keep saying it when people ask me, I say, for you to own a business, then that means you must have customers you are serving. If there are no customers, then you are not in business. So what are the activities you are supposed to do to bring these customers to your office or to buy online if you have an online store or online services you are rendering? We talked about marketing. There are different ways you can market. You have the traditional marketing where, you have like walking around trying to, meet people, talk to them. This is what we do and all that. If you don't walk around, then you have what we call word of mouth. Maybe somebody has enjoyed your services and if oh, I think this company is doing well, then they will talk about you to other people. Another marketing you can also do is through referral. You can ask your customers to actually refer anyone that is seeking uh, either to buy that particular product or they need your services. Besides, you also have what we call partnership. Those are some of the things that you need to work on when it comes to marketing. So you want to partner with either other businesses, like what we call the B2B. Maybe around that you think, okay, they can always lift, your businesses, or they are involved in some activities that you think, they can always benefit from. Okay. They can also benefit from. So those are some of the things businesses do. Then the level 2 is when you do promotions, you know, like what you are talking about, the physical jingle you do outside. And then you let people know that, okay, there's something that is happening here. If you don't do that one, you can also do a kind of promotion, maybe on the television, on the radios, or it could also be like an advertisement, sort of, on radios. So that's another way, another function that you can carry out in getting your customers. Some people will listen and will say, oh, this company, let me go and see what they are doing in their office. Maybe there's something we can do. And the level 3 is the current one that almost everybody is going for at this time, because that is where you have the number. A lot of people are on social media. And for you to actually be active on social media, there's some things you need to do. At least you must have maybe a good graphic designer that can do your flyers and everything. And if possible, you can have a social media manager as well. So this social media manager will be the one that will be managing your handles and the posting and all that. All these things I've mentioned to you, we do, in our office. And this is just part of the functions carried out by us. There are some other things, administrative functions, when you need to, supervise, you need to look at the staffs, get their, things, reports based on the activities and all that. So those are some of the functions you need to also do. Then apart from that, we have financial functions. Financial functions, that you can also look at, such that you have a business and you have the accounting department. You have to pay salary, you have to spend money to buy either your product, buy some things, maybe raw materials or whatever, and all that. So those are part of the functions. Then we also have strategy. As a CEO or the founder of a company, you must be able to have good business strategy. How are we going to move? How are we going to get into the heart and the minds of our customers? How do we grow this business? Then we also have research and development, especially if you are in a company where you need to do maybe manufacturing and all that. And you need to first of all, test some of these things before you actually produce the final product. Then we have the IT, the information technology. We have people that you will employ to actually be in that department and check and see that, yes, you're actually doing the right thing. Customer service. This is very key because if you don't have good customer service, your customers will run away. So it's a very important aspect of business functions. Then human resources. When it comes to employment, recruitment, and what have you, and also communicating with the staff in the organization, design, communication, governance. These are very, very important functions to be able to handle and govern that particular organization. Production, we're into production. You need to make sure that things work as expected. You get things ready as at when due. If you are supposed to supply a particular company, maybe your final product, and it's not ready as at when they're expecting it, and they already have customers that are waiting, they won't be happy with you. Sourcing, you cannot source any activity. You cannot source either internally or externally. Quality management, you want to know whether what you are doing is according to the standard laid down. We have some organizations that are in control of that, like the ISO, So those are some of the things that businesses actually, some of the activities they carry out. Distribution. You hear recently when Dangote said, "Oh, I'm procuring trailers and all that to actually transport this fuel to different locations." That's part of it. You don't just make a product and just leave it there. There are times that even your customers don't have the capacity to transport those things from your office to their own shops. So you must make provision. So it's part of the activity that businesses actually carry out. And lastly, operations. This is very, very important. Ability to be able to carry out a day-to-day activity in an organization from day to day. What are the things expected of you based on the kind of work that you do in that organization? So these are some of the examples that we have, and I think you should be able to go through them and be able to actually explain them one by one, especially into details. And one thing I've realized that when you are doing all this, an explanation, don't just leave it blank. Always support your argument with examples. So when they ask you questions in ICANN and say, "Oh, explain some of the business functions and all that," even after you've lifted and you've talked about it, you should be able to give an example, at least one, that they can look into and say, "Oh, okay, the concept is actually well known to you." What are the importance of business to stakeholders? And Nolu, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Without looking at this, I want you to just give me one or two importance of business to stakeholders. Do you know when you talk of stakeholders?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so who are the two stakeholders in business?
There are those that have the interest of a business at heart.
So, example?
Example, you can say customers, suppliers, the shareholders, the community, um, the government. Yeah.
You think government has your has, well, government they may be sure there is some, but for private company, the government are not really stakeholders. They just want to take from you. They want to take tax. You just pay their tax and you're good. So I agree with you. Shareholders, they're part of the stakeholders. I'm expecting you to mention managers in the company. I'm expecting you to mention employee as stakeholders in companies. Because the employee does not have the mind of the company at heart. So that means that company might be facing some challenges. So those are the things we'll be looking at. So what are the catalysts for economic growth? You want to share that with us?
Sir?
Catalyst for economic growth. We're talking about importance of business to stakeholders. So we are saying a business is a catalyst for economic growth. So what do we mean by that?
Well, business help the economy of a country at large, in the sense that through businesses they can provide employment, and provision of employment serves as income to those employees, and one way or the other, it it helps in the growth of in the economic growth of a country. Likewise, we can also say that it can help the economic growth in situation whereby, for instance, the selling and buying of goods, either importation, either exportation, can also help the economy of a country.
That's correct. I agree with you. For any economic growth to happen, there must be buying and selling. And there must be importation, and exportation for any economic growth. So if there are activities, people are buying, people are selling, and all that, then the economic growth of that particular state or nation will increase. And this is what contributes to the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, of a company. So when the economic growth happens, then the GDP will also increase. Also, another importance, you remember that I mentioned employee as part of the stakeholders. So there are people that are looking for jobs. So as a business, must be able to create that job, that employment opportunity. And so when companies do that, then they support their what? Their stakeholders. Yeah, you have people that are looking for job and you do employment. So that's one of it. Another one is innovation and technological advancement. Innovation. You must, as you run your business, you must be thinking outside the box. If you are still doing the same thing you did last year in your business this year, then that means you are not innovative. If you are trying to package either a product or whatever, and you've noticed that you're able to generate some level of revenue, but it's not getting to where you want it to be. This year you can say, oh, I'm doing some branding, I'm changing the product pack. This one has been there for the past 5 years. And then you can do that, test it, do the pilot study, let people react, and then from there you get your feedback before you actually finalize on what they're supposed. So we must think outside the box. Are there other things, other features that I'm adding to my online programs, online products? These are the things that make you innovative. And then also, if you have a company and you are yet to introduce technology, that means you are yet to start. We know that is very expensive to actually introduce technology, but you can always start at a lower level. So technology is very important. Like your company now, you might say, oh, you have something that you want to sell online. People can reach you even when you are not in that business. So you want to say something? Let me hear you.
No, sir. I'm not saying anything, sir.
I thought I'm hearing something. Maybe it's your background noise from your end. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it is that.
let's continue. Another thing is meeting society needs. Let me ask for your opinion in that. Let me hear you. How do you think businesses meet, the community? You mentioned community as part of the stakeholders, society. So how can they meet their needs?
Well, in the society, we can meet their needs by making provision for the availability of their needs, like a resources that you can see that is of want in that community or in that society. The business can be introduced in such community just to meet their needs, just to meet the needs of those in that environment. So, for instance, everybody needs food. So the food industry is quite a very large industry whereby everybody can key into, because consumption of food is a necessity. So doing that, you are meeting the needs of the society, either raw, either cooked, any form of food
That's one
is
aspect.
needed.
That's one
Sir?
aspect. So that's one aspect. But we can look at it in the another aspect in what we call the CSR. Within the community where you are actually operating, it's expected that you should contribute. For example, maybe the road that leads to your office, to your company, is not good. It's expected, if you are a big company, to be able to fix that road. That's part of the CSR. You are meeting the needs of that company. It's not that they're going to give you anything, but they will say, oh, this company actually repaired our road. So it's a good PR for you. So you are meeting the society's needs. Apart from what you produce, when we say, okay, you produce food, okay, everybody can produce food, you produce laptop, people will need laptop and all that. But the CSR is also key. And that's what leads us to community development and social importance. Ability to be able to do some things to improve the community in which you are operating. Another importance of business is entrepreneurship and empowerment. Actually, entrepreneurship is business. That's the way I see it. For you to actually start a business, that means you have that entrepreneurial uh, initiative and skill in you. So you can empower others either within or outside, such that you can, get into some different programs, some help programs that you need to let them know and then say, okay, that all these are very, key, and they're important in what they need to actually do. So those are some of the things you need to do. Okay, so Anolo, give me 1 minute. Let me quickly attend to something. I'll join you back.
All right, sir. Mm.
Okay, yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I have to quickly attend to something. Okay, so Anolo, are you still there?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, empowerment is key. It's part of the reason why businesses operate. To be able to empower people, you are empowering your employees, you are empowering, your managers, you're empowering, you know, different people that are stakeholders within that organization. You can even create like a boot camp or a kind of entrepreneurship program that people can actually get into. For example, you can say, oh, we are supporting women or supporting youth, to build their own businesses. So these are some of the things you can actually do in your organization. Another thing is global connectivity and interdependence. When we say global connectivity, for stakeholders, for example, customers, you can connect them. For example, as I'm talking to you now, MTN through their data is what is supporting this connectivity. I'm not where you are, but I can talk to you. This is part of what we call the global village, that small village in which the world has become. Even people outside, either in Ghana, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, all these people can be reached. And so it's like a small village where everybody can connect. And then that interdependence is there. Another importance of business is when it comes to business ethics. What are the reasons for actually carrying out your business? What are the important things or what you should do to make sure that you operate ethically in that particular business so that there's no breach, either security breach, data breach, or what have you. And so ethics is important. That means I'm doing the best that is expected of in an organization to run my business. And then also make sure that what I'm responsible to the community socially. So then we move to individual growth and development. It's expected that every business should be able to develop their what? Their employee. You must be able to lift them up. Any employee in your organization should have that mind that yes, they can actually grow as time goes on. This growth we are talking about include maybe you are sending them for a course, either a short course outside the country, everything we're paid for. Or it could be like 6 months or a year program. maybe like a master's program that is well paid for by the company. And this employee will have at the back of their mind that they will come back to that company to actually come and use some of the skills that they've achieved during the course of their development. So that's part of the importance of a business running to its stakeholders. And lastly, impact on environmental conservation. Okay, let me allow you, Anolua, to say something about this. How do you think the impact on environmental conservation is one of the importance of business to its stakeholders? So let me hear your thoughts.
In a situation where a business um is into maybe manufacturing or it's manufacturing, and they have wastage.
Okay, in terms of pollution. Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
So impact on the wastage should not impact the environment negatively, like whereby they begin to dump their refuse or their waste in an unhygienic way that begins to affect the health of the community or of the environment. So
Correct. An example is the oil company, like the one happening in Niger Delta. You know
yes,
that? Yes. When you see that all their fishes in the rivers and everything are dead because of poor environmental conservation. So it's expected, at least for community, you know, for community to benefit from businesses operating within their jurisdiction. They must look into the environmental aspect of it. You have to support them and decide and say, okay, maybe the water, which things are for them, then the pollution, you don't want, like sewage. You can have, something like that, like people that are hearing chicken, and you see that, all their waste will just be smelling and they will be polluting the whole community. So, as the owner of that kind of business, it's expected that you should look into that aspect such that there is prompt evacuation of all this waste and possibly dumped in a particular place, either in the rivers where fishes can hit them and all that, that will serve as manure, for those other aquatic lives. So I'm happy that you have a good example for that. So let's continue. We are looking at classifications of economic activities. Please look at it based on occupation. So, in other words, there are other activities that are also there, but these three that we have here are categorized based on occupation. Number one is the profession or the vocation of that particular owner or business. And then we have employment and then also business. So we'll take them one by one. So, profession, you want to talk about that? This economic activity. Anolo,
uh,
I want you to share your thoughts regarding that. When we talk of profession, what comes to your mind? Or maybe vocation. Somebody that is an accountant and then owns an audit firm. You understand? He's a chartered accountant and he owns an audit firm. So what happens? Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so talk about it. Let me see. What are the benefits?
When we say profession, it
Mm,
means you can say highly skilled. Someone who is highly skilled.
Specialized, not highly, it's just specialized skills. That
Oh,
means
okay.
that's some specialization. For example, a doctor, you know, many people cannot do what a doctor will do. They can do operation, they can do, different things. And then when you talk of accountants, chartered accountants, they are professionals. Hmm? They can actually handle a lot of things. They can prepare your books, financial statement, and all that. Many people cannot do that. You have to be skilled in those areas. Okay, so go ahead.
Mm, you said it all, and they render, maybe they provide services
Mm-hmm.
in exchange for to their clients in exchange for maybe a fee.
Mm-hmm.
So they are professionals in their field.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Well, professionals most times they could be regulated by some bodies, by a professional body.
Exactly. Okay. So how does that benefit the owner
Sir?
of the business? I said, how does that benefit the owner of the business? You see, when you give an example like that, you should be looking at the pros and cons. Okay, if they are regulated, what happens? If they are not, what happens? So that's the way your discussion should go. So go ahead.
Mm. They benefit a business by rendering their services to those businesses, and in return they get paid. And since they are regulated by professional bodies, their conduct are expected to be done professionally.
Go on.
Yes. Yes, sir. That's all I have.
Okay. Okay. I agree with you. So when we talk of professionals, we are talking of people with specialized skills. So specialized skills in such a way that they have skills that they can actually, you know, use to make money. So most of them can come up with companies like consulting firms. So you can have a company who is a consulting firm and is going to start and will be rendering services in that particular area. It could be a healthcare consulting, it could be an audit firm consulting, could be an educational consulting firm. So those are the areas we are talking about. And that is the benefit because these professionals will make money and they will also contribute to the society. You understand? And especially the economy of that particular state or community or nation as a whole. An example is if you have doctors and nurses, you know, in different communities, definitely you know that they can handle their situation easily while there. Compared to communities where you don't have doctors, especially recently when doctors are traveling outside the country and those that are even available are moving from the rural area to the urban areas, such that those in the rural areas are neglected. So those are part of the disadvantages of what happen when professionals are not present in some particular areas or community. Another drawbacks that people are now looking at is that it's as if these professionals that work actually work to make money for the owner of the business, such that they contribute little or nothing to the society. And an example was given. They said banking and auditing. If you have a bank, Anoloa, give me one or two things that you think your bank has done for you since you've been banking in Nigeria.
I can say
Apart from saving your money, oh, you go there and collect your money. Any other thing that you think you've benefited from banks?
over the years they've also made banking services easier. Like you
Okay,
don't need to a physical branch to make some transactions, and it has made transactions quite easier. Apart from that, nothing else.
exactly. And you see that at the end of the year, they just declare and say, oh, we have so number amount of money, as profit. And we are now, talking about uh, giving
They should
dividends to the
have
shareholders. You understand? And so many people are actually challenging this kind of businesses that you don't support because it's very even rare to see banks even carrying out CSR. Maybe in places like Lagos, where I think it's compulsory, and maybe a requirement for them, maybe for renewal into the new year, they might say, oh, you must carry out a CSR. But some other places where they have branches, they really do, something. All they do is just carry out the transaction and all that. And another thing is the auditing firm as well. Most audit firms, you just go to company, for example, when you talk of like Deloitte, I think it's an audit firm, or you talk of maybe KPMG, we've been hearing of all these big companies in Nigeria, but I've not at any point seen what exactly they are contributing to the society. Well, it may be maybe because I've not really taken my time to look into that area aspect as such, but the society is expecting more from them. They just criticize, the society criticize them because they are not contributing to their development. And so they see them that all they do is just what? Just to make money and make money. If they come to you and they say they want to come and audit your company now, they will give you that bill, big money, and you have to pay. So it's more or less that they are making money for the owners or the partners of that company. So that's one of the criticism of such businesses. Let's go to the next one. So we've mentioned professionals. And the second one, remember, we categorize them, we classify them based on what? On occupation. And we mentioned professional, employment, and business. So we are now looking at employees. So what happened? As the owner of business, you cannot run your business alone. And you can't be at the front desk attending to people and also be, you know, inside trying to actually pay some, money out or even reaching out to your creditors or maybe, getting your debtors and all that. So, and you cannot even be the customer service at the same time. So it's expected that you must have employee that will carry out day-to-day activities of the company. So in other words, employment is central, is at the heart of every business economy. And that's why you see that most business owners or founders are always agitated when somebody leaves the company. They quickly, try to see how they can get a better hand, good recruitment for the company. So employees are needed in company. Although they really have impact in contributing to either the strategic aspect of the business or maybe the entrepreneurship. Nevertheless, there are some companies, some big companies, that have actually tried to bring in entrepreneurship into the company. They will have look around and see, oh, I think this person has the entrepreneurial skill within the organization. And then they will say, oh, yes, let's try and coin out a particular section for him. And so, okay, you're going to handle this, you're going to handle that. And the person starts developing that aspect of the business gradually as an intrapreneurship. Are we together? Hello?
Me too, sir.
Okay, good. So it's expected that any economy that is going to grow, there must be visionary entrepreneurs and innovators. What did I say? There must be visionary entrepreneurs and innovators. And that's the only way such business can actually break through. Now, we've talked about professions and employees, and we have businesses. As a business or a business owner, you are an entrepreneur. And so, what you do is that you create value, you know, such that the economy can grow. And these values are what you call the value proposition. So, in other words, you create values, for your customers, such that they can look and say, oh, this is what this company is doing for me. And from there, they become your loyal customers. At these aspects that we have businesses and you have owners, the founders and all that, such businesses have been criticized as well, such that you have some people that actually claim that they are part of the business or even the business owners, but they do not contribute anything. And an example of this are the shareholders. You just look at shareholders of companies, you might not even know them, especially private liability company that we mentioned before. You might not know them. They might even come around within the organization and you don't even see them as one of the owners of the company. And so they still benefit from it. When they share dividends, some portion go to them and other. And they are not involved in the activities of the company. But they still benefit from the profits. Others may not be like that. So that's an example of businesses that you see and the negative aspect of it. You want to share another example with me? Anoloa.
Go ahead.
Now I want to hear from you. We have already have said something. So I want
My head is not good.
your head is not but.
Yes,
In
sir.
what way do you think that companies can actually be criticized? In what way?
Companies be criticized.
Companies can be okay. Let me talk. Go ahead.
Companies can be criticized in different ways. For
So
example,
tell me one.
Maybe a company that fails to maybe train their employees in, like, to take them on trainings or to increase
Okay.
their.
A salary, something.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I agree with you. They can be criticized. There can be internal criticism from employee. I've been here for 10 years and I've only been
Mm,
promoted once. I've been here for 15 years and the company has not added any value to me. I've not gone for any program. I've not gone for any certification or what have you. So those are part of the criticism that can actually come from employee to the company. Okay, good. Let's continue. Yes, we are starting another one. We'll see. We should be able to handle this today. And if we can finish this today, that's fine. I'll start another. If not, we'll complete it tomorrow. So now, business organizational structures and choices. We've talked about, you know, different types of businesses we have. I've been able to categorize them, according to the occupation and then see what happens. Now, what are the structures that we have? Business structures. Business structures. One is centralized structure. When we say centralized, that means everything domicile at the headquarters. One example is the banking system. Think I was at the bank some times ago, and there was an issue on my account. I did a transaction, and the transaction did not go through, and I had to go and report at the bank and say, "Oh, this is what happened. The person did not get this certain amount of money." And to my surprise, even as small as the money was, they could not handle it at that level. And she said to me, "We are going to send a letter to the head office." I think the money was around either 28,000 or 30,000. And I was looking, I said, "You're sending letter to the head office because of this 30,000, you know?" And she said, "Yes, that's what the policy says." So that kind of a business environment is what is operating on. At this point, they cannot make decision on any of their spendings. If they want to spend any money, they must reach out to what? To the head office. So when you look at their sizes as well, they are usually uh, big companies, such that they want the whole thing, the decision to be made at the headquarters. Another example that we can see in this area is a telecommunication company that operates centralized organizational structure. They will tell you they have the chairman or the president of that organization. And so there's a central decision makers at the headquarters. So the size of such company matters before they can actually operate this style. Another thing is the management style. Management style of centralized organizational structure is somehow such that the chain of command is usually limited. Are you following me? Anoloa. Are you on this call?
I'm with you, sir.
Okay. I just want to be sure. That's why I keep checking on you so that you are not doing something else. So, management system. So, you see that the information comes from the top to the bottom. And like I said, the chain of command is usually very long. They just move from the top and then they move to the middleman and then to move to the what? The operational level. And the information, the command goes like that. So the execution might take time. Like the example I gave you concerning the morning that I was not paid into the account I sent it to. And when I got to the bank, I asked the lady, you are sending to the headquarters. So what happens? She said, in the next 10 days. And I look at myself. I said, in this present century, just 30,000 naira. And you are saying I need to wait for 10 days. And I ask her, I said, what if that's the last money that I have on me? And I have to get this product that I want. I said, what happened? Do you ask me to wait for 10 days before I get my money back? Sincerely, I had to wait for 10 days. I think it was even more than that, maybe 14 days thereabout, before I received mail that it has been resolved. And I laughed. So that's one of the reasons. So what happens, what caused the delay was as a result of what? A long chain of command. It will move from one table to the other. Not necessarily a paperwork, but a technological work that is passed from one table to the other, and everyone has to check and then come up with what? Their own findings. And then they note it before they finally approve it. Another is the quality managers at every level. So you have managers, quality managers, now handling every level of that organization. So geographical spread. Companies that operate centralized organization structure usually have many branches. You will be surprised to know that the MTN in Nigeria is still being controlled from the headquarters in South Africa, despite the fact that we still have the president or the chairman or CEO of MTN in Nigeria. So that's one of the things you see in centralized organization structure. Then the business environment. Is it usually friendly or not? How do they operate? So far, what I've noticed that the business environment is just based on what? On the principle or the policy. They will keep telling you the policy of the organization, the policy of the organization. So the business environment might not really be that friendly as such because everybody is just trying to do their own job. So that's what happens in centralized organization structure. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Anolua, talk to me about the advantages of centralized organizational structure. Anolua, there are no more on this call.
I'm with you, sir.
So why are you not answering me? You are doing something else.
No, sir.
So talk to me about the advantages. What do you
Advantage.
think of centralized organization? I've explained it. So I want you to just share your thoughts on the reason why you think centralized structure is better.
Um, it makes decision making easier.
Are you sure? In centralized, how is it
Mm,
very? Tell me now. How do you think it's very easy when you have centralized structure? How will the decision be very easy?
like for instance, when top management are
Mhm.
making their decisions, you want to make strategic decision. I'm talking about in the strategic level, not the operational level. So decisions decision making at the strategic level is easier because they don't need to consult anybody. They are the ones making that decision for either the operational level or the tactical level.
Okay. Well, for centralized structure, the decision is usually very long. I think I've explained it. Even though it may be consistent because it has to pass through different stages and every person have to look at it. So that's why you see consistent decisions. Oh yeah, go ahead. Another advantage. Hello.
Mm. So me too, sir.
So go ahead. I'm listening. The advantages.
It also saves money since everybody is reporting to the headquarter, to the head office. There's no need having more bodies, like a lot of bodies.
Branches.
Yes, a lot of branches. Yes.
But they will still need to get to have branches. That's the reason why they are centralized. You understand? The only difference that they don't make decision at those branch levels. So the saving of money, I agree with you because they don't need to, move money to the branches on some operations and all that, since they can be done at the top level. And it's also very easy to make decisions. Decisions can be followed through at that level. And then they also maintain quality because at the central level, you have professionals, you have people that are, what to do, they're experienced, and
Mm.
you also have the founders and the CEO at that top level. And that's the reason why you find that they have quality, you know, decision making. And then also you have unity towards the goal. With a clear chain of command, they know where they are going and they are setting everything up for that particular business. Good business image. If there are no issues, then their image will not be bastardized. So the structure is good to some level. Disadvantages. The messages can be distorted along the line. We said the information, the decision making pass through stages from one stage to the other. So it can be distorted such that the original, you know, message is different from the last one. Then, when it comes to decision making, usually they have good decision makers at the top. I told you before. Most of them are executives. They are professionals. So making decisions are not new to them. they already know because of the vast experiences that they've had. But the only problem there is the bad implementation. Because they are top decision makers, they expect the middle managers to actually implement those decisions. But because the middle managers were not at the meeting and they don't understand how they came up with those decisions, so it will be difficult for them to actually implement as expected. That's the reason why you have bad implementation at that level. Then also, it is demotivating, especially for middle managers, when decisions are made and you are not part of it. So that means that ownership is not there. The middle managers will just stay there and say, well, they will soon pass it to us and then we'll do what we need to do. They don't own that decision. They don't see themselves as part of the organization. And that's the main reason why most of them will resign quickly and on time. And they will look for another organization, either they are ready to pay them higher salary or they are ready to get them involved in decision making. So there is high turnover in such structure. Moreover, there's no creativity. Innovation is out. The top decision makers don't actually innovate as such. Because of the years of experiences, they've seen the way things work and they say, oh, this is the way to work, we continue to work. So they don't introduce new things. They just believe, oh, it should be like this, and then continue. It's the policy of the organization. So there's low creativity. And their focus is mainly on the success of the organization. Make sure you make profit, you make money. That's just their aim. And then they reduce, they don't look for other areas where you think eh, they can spend money. Another disadvantage is the rigid work culture. I've told you, it's autonomous. There's a specific way they do things, and it's expected that along the chain of command, everybody should follow it as it's stated. So that's another one. Undeveloped competencies. There are so many people, especially at the middle level, that have that competencies and that capability to actually execute some things. But because they were not tested, they were not trained, then they remain at that level. So those competencies are not developed. Another thing that can also happen is business interruption. And one example is if you have the IT manager, the head in Lagos, either for banks. I know you will have seen it before. I've been in a bank where I was told, our service is done, and there's nothing that we can do. Have you heard of that before? I know, Loa. Hello?
Mutisa.
Have you heard of that before?
Of that.
That of what I said.
Yes, sir.
What did I say?
I'm with you, sir.
What did I say, Anoloa? That means you are not following me. I was talking about business interruptions. I give an example of like an IT. Maybe the head of IT is in Lagos. And you've been to a bank and they say, oh, there's interruption. Oh, the service is not going. So let's quickly call the head office so that they can fix it. Have you not heard of that before?
Yes, sir.
I've been to banks where it happened and we have to wait. Some might even take more than necessary before you can carry out your transaction on that day. Also, there's heavy workload. Heavy workload. A lot of work for them because there's no delegation. So everyone has to make sure that the carrier, because everything goes to the central part, part of the company. So the workload is much on them. And that's why they will tell you, oh, even though the closing hour is 4, they will not go home until 10 p.m. I have an example for you. When I wrote my ATS exam and I qualified as ATS, technician accountant, and I went to Lagos for induction, I had to stay with a friend's brother, a senior brother. I had to stay with him. So when I went, he was working a bank as at that time. And we said, okay, we'll try and come on time so that we can go home and we can relax and prepare for the following day when we need to go for the induction. We got there around 4:35. Interestingly, we thought we'll be going home. And he said, no, we can't go home now. He gave 2 reasons. He said it's just now they have to be, balancing their books. He was working at the headquarters of Wema in Lagos at that time. Apart from balancing the books, he said there will also be what? There will be traffic on the road. And so he cannot leave at this time. And we have to stay in the bank till 10 p.m. So we did not leave until 10 p.m. So what am I talking about? The heavy workload. There's a real workload on them at the head office, especially in a centralized structure. You do understand? Hello? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Understand my explanation?
I do, sir.
Okay. Decentralized structure. Can you explain that? What does it mean?
Decentralized structure is
Yes.
centralized. Decision making is can be done in different branches, necessarily at the head office.
Okay. So what happens?
Like everybody is skilled.
And the more important thing, delegation.
Yes.
You understand? So that means they can delegate authority.
Tax.
Yes, and say carry out this activity. Carry out this activity.
Yes, sir.
So in a sense, decentralized structure, decision makings are made at every level and divisions in an organization. So that's what happens. Decisions are made such that employees are given that power, that autonomy to actually show their skills, and they are also responsible. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is different from the centralized one, where you have a top-down approach. So this one is scattered. It can be like a matrix or something, moving from down to top, to middle. So the senior manager can delegate authority to the middle manager, and decision making to be very easy and smooth. So that's what happens in decentralized structure. Let's look at scenarios where centralized structure can work. I want to explain the first one. Where a company needs to deliver highly individualized customer service. Can you explain why you think the centralized structure will work in this kind of company? Hello?
I'm with you, sir.
So
The
I
reason
said
why the reason why decentralized will work in this type of company is because everybody in their branches are highly skilled. Not necessarily because they are working as a whole, not necessarily as a subordinate. So everybody knows what they are doing. Everybody's experienced in their field.
Okay. I agree with you. Individualized. That means they can make decisions. And this is some of the things that actually help companies. Like in my own company now, we operate flat hierarchical level, flat structure. There are some things I can do on my own, even if I don't ask them to do it. But because I want them to have that feeling of ownership, I'll just ask them, oh yeah, you go and do this. And then when we come for the team meeting, then we'll discuss it. All those things actually help employee to have that feeling that yes, they are part of the organization. Another scenario is when a business has a vast network that cannot be controlled by upper management alone. An example are all these consulting firms that have different employees all over the world. And they can't wait for when you say, oh, make decision in US and then send it to South Africa. Make decision in US and send to Nigeria. No, they already have different companies, the same name, but stationed in that country. And those ones make decision and then they give report to the headquarters. So that's another scenario. Another one is when the nature of the market means that the decision must be made quickly. When you need to quickly make decision to improve the market or the marketing strategy in that organization. For example, you've gone to the field and your marketers came back and they gave the report. This is what we were able to find out about this product. And we need to quickly take action. That decision does not need to wait for hours, such that by the following day, they are what? On top of the task. So, decentralized structure will work in this area as well. Another one is when you have a scenario where the business model is changing constantly. Usually, in a small company or a startup, business model change, over time, constantly. Such that you might say, let me give you an example. Like in my company now, initially we're thinking, oh, we're going to use B2B we're going to use B2C. So we're like, okay, since we are looking at secondary school students, okay, let's actually work such that We set up a platform. They can actually go there themselves and do the exam. That was the plan, the business model. But as time goes on, we realize that these students are not going to the platform. They are not using it. So what happens? We need to change the business model. And then we started using B2B2C. Where we look at, okay, the best thing is to approach a school where we can have access to quite a number of students. And then we can tell them and say, okay, this is the platform, use it, and then sign up while we're there. And then we know that constantly we keep asking them, how far have we done, checking on them and all that. Apart from other things that we also do, while we also train those students in tech courses. Are we together, Nolua? So these scenarios are very important for you to take note of. Are you with me? Hello?
I'm with you, sir.
I hope you are not sleeping. Or are you tired?
No, sir. It's just that I'm eating. I was hungry.
Okay, so you didn't want to talk with food in your mouth. Okay, we'll stop here today. Let's stop at 12:30 so that you can
Thank
also do one or two things. Okay, so I want to give you an assignment. So your assignment is to check out the matrix structure, matrix organizational structure. I'll read about it. So that will be the first thing we'll discuss tomorrow. We'll complete what we have, for this decentralized structure, and then we'll start the matrix. So please go over it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to be discussed tomorrow. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Have a wonderful day.
And you too, sir.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, sir.